Hey guys, Josh Hankin here. Lately in our newsletter, I've been talking about the importance of using sound training principles and getting real world results. A lot of coaches get a little scared when we start throwing in ideas such as science into our training programs. It doesn't have to be overwhelming though. We're going to take a principle of sport specific training and break it down in a very applicable manner. When I think of athletes I'd like to emulate in my training, I can't help but think of mixed martial arts and wrestlers. Both have great amounts of fitness, mobility, and endurance. So what we're going to do is look at that type of sport and see how we can apply it in a fitness arena. With those athletes, it's very important to think about the different positions that they'll have to be in. John Jesse, in his landmark book Encyclopedia of Wrestling Conditioning, calls sandbags the most sport-specific tool that these athletes could use because we can hit different angles and positions that are impossible with other training tools. So when you see the workout today, you're going to see how we break that down into a format that's very applicable. We're also going to recognize limitations they may have. For example, going overhead. A lot of these mixed martial arts and wrestlers have problems going overhead because the demands of their sport put them in posture that getting overhead can be difficult on their shoulder. So we're going to show you ways to manipulate that, and we're going to show you how you can get around and develop full body power, strength, endurance, and flexibility. So check out today's workout. Alright, we already know that the bear hug squat is a tremendous exercise to improve squatting technique. Having the weight out in front helps you keep more upright, developing a better squat, hitting the hamstrings and the glutes a lot more than a traditional barbell back squat where people tend to flex forward. So we can immediately get benefits out of squatting with a bear hug, but for the mixed martial arts wrestler, the additional benefit in working the upper body is very crucial because a lot of times athletes fatigue in the isometric contraction. So we're going to hit upper back arms well. Being a little bit elevated allows us to work with heavier backs. We're going to put pause at the bottom, which is going to demand our upper body to work harder, and then our lower body has to drive the weight up against the resistance of not having the bag using any momentum. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to take my bag, get nice and high up. So I'm going to start up, come down slow. We're going to pause. 1, 2, drive up, back down. Up. So that little pause accentuates and removes any momentum and really makes this a full body lift both in the power of the upper body and the lower body. One of the biggest leads in identifying the right exercise for yourself or someone you're working with is making sure that you can do it well. You know, I love pressing overhead, but because of the limitations a lot of people have in their posture, they can't do it well and they jam up their shoulders or their low backs trying to get an overhead. So what we've done is try to look at the needs of the MMA and wrestling athlete that often have a hard time going way overhead because they're crunched down from all the grappling that they do. So this exercise actually combines the need of both. We're going to do a pushing drill, a little more functional than your standard bench press. We're going to have a rotational component as well. Because a lot of times wrestling and fighting happens in a staggered stance, getting out of your simple bilateral stance is very important in developing overall functional power. So what we're going to do with the sandbags, we're going to roll off the sides. We're going to make sure there's no slack. What we're going to start with is we're going to rotate. We're going to make sure to pivot the feet. We're going to pivot up to the opposite shoulder. And then we're going to press it, rotate back down. Because it's at an angle, it's a lot easier for my shoulders. It's almost like doing a standing incline. Having the weight shift and having to work on my pivoting is very important in sporting performance, especially when I'm working against a live opponent. I think what draws a lot of people to MMA and wrestling type conditioning is the ability to have great endurance in multi-planes. So it's not just great endurance in running, it's being able to move fluidly. What I'm going to do is show you an exercise just to do that full body power. I'm going to attach the bands to my body to give me some resistance coming out. So I'm going to make sure my hips push forward as I do a squat thrust, which can be a little similar to a sprawl. So this is a very general condition. I have my sandbag up in front of me, so I'm going to jump to a power clean. So it's going to force me to be back on my heels. So I have to counterbalance the bands pulling on me along with the power clean of the sandbag. So I'm going to make sure the bag's in position, place my hands on there, I'm going to almost straddle the bag, kick out, kick in, power clean. You can do this for time or reps. It's an amazing drill to make sure the hip mobility and the hips are firing fast and become overall power. One of the biggest benefits of sandbags is the ability to use different motions and different angles to take commonplace movements and give them a whole new spin. With a sandbag, we have so many options. We can use it like a standard barbell, dumbbell, or even kettlebell, where we can row towards our body and we can change the handle positions up, and we can even grab onto the bag itself to create a great upper body workout. The other benefit we can do is we can use a little rotational training to get a new angle, because pulling doesn't always happen from a stable foundation. So for our 2-point row, and we'll rotate the outside hip. Give me good posture, and I'll pull it towards the body. I then pull, rotate, up, pull. You'll see that I'm combining a bent over row with a rotational deadlift. Because this puts me at a different angle, I'm able to train my pulling strength in a more functional position, or you look at it as a less stable position, but still safe enough to get the benefit of upper body pulling in different angles of training. Sandbags have long been known for their benefit in hand and grip strength because of the shifting weight, and actually grabbing on the bag requires gripping and pinching strength all at once. One way we can put a spin on a common exercise of a bicep curl is to use our hands to grip directly onto the bag. This is going to find a lot more demand. When you are able to use more than hand, the rest of the arm is stimulated more. Curling, bicep curling is not a bad exercise, it just shouldn't be the dominant exercise within your workout. So it acts as a great finisher to this routine. And grab on the bag. Where I grab the bag matters. The more the bag work against me, the harder the exercise. So I can create a very similar drill, a hammer curl, and my hands are working harder. The lower I grab, the easier. So even without changing weight, I can alter the drill depending upon my fatigue level or my strength levels.